Time is 9:30. I'd like to call Red Deer County Council to order. The first business is our agenda. Councillor Moore.
Good morning, Mayor Wood. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to move the agenda for our County Council meeting for May 13th, 2025 as presented.
Any discussion? All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. We'll now deal with our minutes from our April 29th meeting. Councillor Kennett.
Yeah, I looked through the minutes and 5.2 needs to be amended. PJR Massier, not BJR. Other than that, it looked good. So I'd move as amended.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Continuing on to reports. Item number 5.1, Vantage Point Resources Inc. tax agreement request. Good morning, Mr. Dietrich.
Thank you, Mayor Wood and Council. We just want to slow down a little bit. Ms. Carrillo is doing double duty, so we just have to be a little bit patient.
Oh, okay, sure, no problem. Just give me a wave, Ms. Carrillo, and I will slow down anytime I see your hand going up. All right.
Oh.
Okay.
I think Councillor Moore had a question.
Councillor
Mayor
Moore.
Wood, can I just confirm that the meeting is streaming effectively right now? Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, good morning. This is to discuss Vantage Point Resources tax agreement extension request. We're looking for council to consider extending the current tax agreement payment plan with Vantage Point to collect payment of their current arrears with no penalties assessed. Now, in June 23, we entered into a 24-month tax repayment plan with Vantage Point, and as of April, they put $2.4 million towards their arrears, which is incredible. And they did have a final balloon payment of $861 due in May, and they just said they didn't have the cash. And so we're looking at doing a 19-month payment, and we're looking at the same schedule. And we put that into, I don't know if we put it public, but we put it into your council package. It's $125,000 a month, and that'll give us 19 months, and that'll put them current on December 26. The elements, monthly payments, we did, I know some of you will say, well, what about the penalties? Well, those, when we locked in 23, they had already paid or levied $500,000 in penalties. So we feel they've paid enough. There's no need for us to not be aggressive, because there are other counties that haven't, but they haven't also been making payments, and so we have a fine balance to make of trying to keep cash flow and trying to be fair to everybody. They're the only oil company that has maintained their tax payment plan. The others mostly fell by the wayside. You'll see there that they pay $750,000 a year in taxes. So you do have options under Section 340 of the MGA. We have a bylaw to allow for tax installments by payments, and we can, as a council, authorize the waiver of penalties. So you can, by resolution, approve entering into agreement with Vantage Point to facilitate this request. Alternatives are accept this request or decline the request, and we're recommending accepting that we enter into a 19-month extension to their tax arrears. Repayment agreement is outlined in Schedule A to allow for monthly payments without penalties and projected full repayment by December of 26.
Thank you for the report. Are there any questions of administration? Councillor Kennett.
Yeah, thank you. So they were under a payment plan that they have said they cannot make. Is that correct?
Yeah, the payment plan was a 2-year plan. It had a balloon payment of $861 at the end. We only wanted to do a 2-year payment at that time, and so they just said they just didn't have the cash flow and they can't make it. They are current with Kneehill County, and they're working towards being current with us. And the other counties, they're not there yet. and they're making a priority to Red Deer County to make sure that they're current with us. They do have wells still active. They're in mostly Councillor Hulsman's division, but we do have some in Councillor Massey's division as well. And we do have service rigs, and they need rig move approvals from us. So they're really good. The CFO has been in constant talks with us. They're not one that just ignore us. So we feel that they're in good faith making these payments, and that we can trust that they'll get us to the finish line.
So here's my real concern. This is turning into an is this not turning into an interest-free loan to them? If we're not going to be charging any interest, which is their request.
Mr. Dietrich?
Through Mayor Wood to Councillor Kennedy. Yeah, I mean, that you could look at it that way. I look at it as we have 31 or 32 oil companies that aren't paying taxes. We have one company that's in arrears that wants to make amends and to fix it. And it's just the level. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Their tax obligations are $750,000 a year. We just felt it was the best for Red Deer County in terms of our cash flow situation, and also show the government, the province, that we are willing to work with the oil companies on facilitating the repayment of the arrears.
Okay, but you said on the previous payments they had paid arrears, and now they want to not pay arrears on the remainder, which is
right
going to be added on here in a month or so?
Yeah, in 2023, we froze arrears, and that was the council resolution at the time. It's like when you get behind in a credit card bill, and the penalties are very expensive, and it was costing them a lot. And at that time, we went to a 24-month payment plan, freezing the arrears. That said, at that point, they were making payments on the current. So you'll see on the schedule, $46,000 a month go towards arrears, and just under $79,000 a month going towards current. So they're keeping it current. They kept it current in 23, 24, and they've been making payments in 25. We haven't missed a payment, but just they couldn't make that balloon payment at the end of May. They paid us $125,000 in May.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ramsey?
Thank you, Mayor Wood. Some of my questions were answered in the report, but I guess what if they stop paying on this agreement? Do they start incurring penalties again at that time?
Through Mayor Wood to Councillor Ramsey, yeah, well, they go into default, and we had another company that has gone into default. So the moment they do that, we send a notice to municipal affairs and to the energy people, that they can't get new licenses and all that. So they're put into the bad books. And also we find more effective, it's on the rig move permits that we get them. And so Marty's team flags them. And the moment a phone call comes in for a rig move for them, that we don't allow a rig move into the county. And that would, but they don't want to go there. They want to be active. They want to keep going. There are mechanisms. It just is the other mechanisms we have with the province. If they don't apply for wells, they don't need rig moves. We have no other tools to get them to pay.
Any other questions? Councillor Moore? Oh, I'm going around.
Thank you. So how much are we talking with the penalties? What would that amount be at the end of the repayment?
They'll be paying $2.36 million through to the end of 26. So we're estimating $750,000 for next year. Might be more, might be less, depends on their wells and their assessment. And then arrears of 861 left. So.
And if as proposed, we waiver the penalties, what's the amount of what is that amount?
The penalties I haven't calculated, Councillor Moore.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Master, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I did, and so far the questions are being answered, so I'm looking forward to the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Holzman. Any questions? Councillor DePalma, any questions?
Just for clarity on my own, so they're making, on that spreadsheet, they're making the current payments for 25 taxes, and then the monthly total payment for arrears and current is the 125. Is that correct?
Correct, and you'll see Manager Gay put no interest. You know, there would be 6% penalties. So I mean, you know, as Councillor Kent pointed out, you know, if they paid the penalties, it'd be a significant amount of interest that they'd be paying.
So right now they're paying almost over $200,000 a month.
No, they're paying $125,000 a month. So it's $78,947 for their current.
Oh.
$46,053 for their arrears.
Okay, sorry, I was adding the wrong columns together. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Councillor Holzman?
Well, I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to at least gain some of the money back. So I would move that we approve Vantage Point Resources' request for the 19-month extension to their tax arrears repayment agreement as outlined in Schedule A to allow for continued monthly payments without penalties and a projected full repayment by December 2026. And I guess one of the comments that I would make is I would hope that there would be more oil companies that would at least come forward and pay as well, and that these people seem to be at least trying to work with us to get our taxes paid.
Councillor Messier?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'd also agree. I mean, I've got some of these active Vantage facilities in the division, and they're making their land payments and they're participating and they want to service their equipment and rigs, and I don't want to stop them from doing that. And I would agree. And, you know, they're paying all their money back. They're paying all their taxes. They've been surcharged a $500,000 penalty, and they smartened up and they're making payments, and it's taken a little bit while. So I don't think we want to get hung up on how much more penalties we can get out of them. Let's get the taxes out of these people. Is it fair because if I don't pay my tax on my house, so I don't get that interest-free loan, as I hear it's called? It's a different department. Not getting taxes and getting the taxes back and changing the penalty. I agree. Hit them once with the penalty and make an agreement that's firm is the way to do it. So kudos on staff. And like Councillor Holzman said, 32 letters should go out to other oil companies and say, this is how you work in Red Deer County. We'll work with you. And I think you're doing a great job with them. So we'll support the full motion. Excellent job.
Councillor Moore?
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So I also will support the motion. Whether we like it or not, in this beautiful province, we're all in the oil business, one way or the other, and we depend on these companies to employ and all the economic spin-offs that happens. Yes, it is, you know, we've made a deal here, a recommended deal, and they are working with us, and that's a hell of a lot of money. And contrary to what people may think, it's not easy in the oil field right now. So I totally support this motion. And, you know, it sends a clear message to the province, as has been stated, that, you know, we're working with the oil companies and hopefully more will come forward.
Councillor Ramsey?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Wood. I do struggle with this. I have very little sympathy for some of these companies that, you know, kind of exploited a loophole over time, you know, and now they're trying to play catch up on that so that they can get their permits because the rules are changing. And so, you know, it is frustrating to see that, you know, I feel a little bit handcuffed in this. And especially not being able to continue applying penalties, like they're behind on their payments, and that's what we would do in any other situation. But I do recognize we had an agreement with these folks. They made good on that agreement, and we're extending that to try and get them caught up. And I will support the motion, but this is a struggle.
Councillor Kennett?
I just can't support this. This agreement doesn't even get them caught up to next year's tax round. Are they going to be back June of next year wanting another extension? Because this goes to December of 2026. I'm concerned, like, okay, no interest, that's fine, but to drag it out into the following tax year beyond, that's pretty concerning to me. You know, their other option would be go to a bank, get the money, and pay it off. So I have a real problem with this, and I just can't support it at this time.
Councillor DePalm?
So, you know, when I was reading this and stuff, I was a little, I'm not going to support this in the beginning, you know, but that being said, that is a lot of money, and, you know, it does help the county, and I realize, you know, the agreement was made, and I do think that we have to work with them to get this done, to collect the money. I do feel that this is a little different than our residential part. You know, these are high dollar figures, and, you know, it is good for the county to get the money instead of not getting anything at all. You know, I do struggle with the fact that they are playing catch up in that, but I also understand the fact that at least now we're getting money, whereas they could just refuse to pay and not work with us at all. So at this point, I will support this for the time being, but and hopefully everything, you know, if anything happens, then that's when their arrears starts happening and we go from there.
Okay, I haven't spoken on this one yet, and, you know, I think this company's demonstrated the fact that they have been making payments, and they had a big balloon payment that was beyond their means at this time. But what I would say is that I've heard others say this as well. I think it's important to recognize that this company is doing their best to try in a really, really trying time. So oil and gas prices are down. We're in a crazy situation in the world right now. And for them to come to us and try to be in the good books with Red Deer County, I wish more would do this. I truly wish more people would do this. I'm disappointed that the province of Alberta hasn't given us better tools. We have no other means. We can't foreclose on their property. This is a whole lot different than any other situation that we would have in Red Deer County. And I tell you what, every dollar we get from them is a dollar we may not have. You know, these folks deal in many municipalities. I'm glad that they're choosing Red Deer County to pay tax dollars in. We welcome their business in Red Deer County, and they employ people and they create wealth for us, and they're generating tax dollars for us this year and every other year as they continue forward. So, you know what, it's not that we're not getting the money, we're a delay in getting the money, and I'm sure they're going to support the motion 100%. All those in favor, who made the motion? You want to close?
No, I'm okay.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Councillor Kennett's opposed. Motion's been carried. Continuing on to item number 5.2. Good morning.
Morning, Mayor and Council. How are we doing today?
Very good. And you?
Oh, not too bad, thank you. I'm here to bring forward the recommendation for the Seal Coat program for 2025. Purpose of the report here is to seek Council's consideration of the contract for the 2025 Seal Coat program. The Seal Coat program is budgeted for every 2 years and is completed to applicable roads to extend the life of the road surfaces. The county uses seal coating as one of its maintenance strategies for select surface roads. Seal coat is typically applied to maintain roads that were previously constructed using seal coat or seal asphalt pavement roads. For this year, 8 priority sites have been selected for the 2025 program, totaling approximately 16.5 kilometers. All roads selected are rural roads, with the exception of one block of roadway in Springbrook in the Harvard Park area, which is 21st Street between Airport Drive and 35th Ave. The chosen locations for 2025 are subject to change, however, depending on road conditions and further inspections. With all this in mind, the 2025 Seal Coat program was advertised on March 27th as a lowest bid tender, and on April 22nd, the tender was closed. The seal coat program was advertised for approximately four weeks, with 3 bids submitted and all 3 meeting the tender requirements and acknowledging the addenda. The 3 bids ranged from $1,376,383.58 to $1,571,888.54, including GST. The bid with the lowest price was Ant Construction, coming in at $1,376,383.58. The tender was prepared using unit prices with estimated quantities based on the prioritized seal coat roads, and is structured to be a seasonal contract with work to be completed August 31st, 2025. So funding for this project has been identified and approved in the current capital budget, and expenditures are currently on track to fit within the council's approved budget. For the communication of this project, as part of the agenda, this report has been shared online and we're streaming live. The public can watch the video live, like I just said, and through recorded video with closed captioning capabilities. Directions on this matter will be included in the meeting minutes, which are published online, summarized in the county news. Additionally, road users will be notified by pre-construction signage that will be posted 7 days prior to operation at each site. Pre-construction signage will include the dates for starting as well as ending. So the alternatives for this contract award is approve administration recommendation to award the contract for the 2025 seal coat program to Ant Construction, the sum of $1,376,383.58, which includes GST. Change the project parameters and retender this work, or deny the administration's recommendation to award this tender and cancel the project. So administrations recommends that council approve the award of the 2025 seal coat program to Ant Construction Limited for the sum of 1.3 million change there.
Thank you for your report.
You bet.
Questions, Councillor Pond, would you like to start? No, I don't have any. Councillor Kennett?
Yeah, thank you. In your report, you said there could be changes, but I don't see any contingency. So if there's changes, is it the price not going to change? It wouldn't affect the bid price?
Go ahead.
Through the mayor or through the CAO to mayor and council. Yes, so there would be effect to the price based off of if there was another road selected, but we'd potentially look at how the roads, the 8 priority roads that we have, if one of those would be less priority. So we may remove a road depending on what this potentially new road that came in would be.
But at this time, you don't see that. You've got your road selected. It's just something may come up in the... Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Ramsey. Councillor Moore. Councillor Massier.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I kind of getting a feel for how you want to work with this contractor on this project, not committing necessarily to the amount of roads, but working within a budget. And if I remember it's close to our budget in and around there. What got me was, of all the roads in Harvard Park, you're doing one little block. And there's 8 prioritized sites, and I'm wondering, geez, I hope they're all a little bigger than one little block for 1.4 million. So my question, Mr. Mayor, how many miles and miles of seal coat are we getting for the 1.376? And I might have went a little extreme with the miles and miles, but I'm thinking one little block in Harvard mobilization, is there some bigger sites that we're getting value for our dollar on this?
Go ahead.
Through the CAO to mayor and council. Yes, so it's about approximately 16 and a half kilometers of road that we're getting seal coat. The piece in Harvard Park is only, I think it's roughly 100 meters. So it's a very small piece to this program. Yeah.
And I take it this guy's going to phone you when he's around there, and that's how the contract works. They're not mobilizing just to do 100 meters. Okay, correct. I appreciate that. The 16 kilometers is a big project and a high priority road. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
You don't have any? I have one. Seal coat is, just making sure I'm understanding this, seal coat is where they put the oil on and small aggregate, correct?
Correct.
Right. And this time there's not a lot of residential area, but possibly in Harvard Park area could be residential. Yes.
That's correct. Just that 100 meters.
And I have a question regarding the size of the aggregate and the sharpness of the aggregate in the residential area. Will it be the type of that will be conducive to working with the local safety of the population? I know it's a tough question. Okay. I didn't want to elaborate. Sorry.
Through the CAO to mayor and council, to mayor. It is our standard aggregate that we have used on previous projects. This area within Harvard Park that we're proposing to put it down, it wouldn't be defined as a residential area within Springbrook. There is still the potential of typical residential users using that for things like cycling and stuff like that. But we feel that our standard stone is appropriate for this small section of road there.
Okay, thanks for that response. I guess my question would be that if a child or a person was to fall off their bicycle, would the aggregate be of the sufficient size that it would not harm them? Fair?
Well, we try not to encourage the use of cycling on our roadways. That's kind of our bottom line. But with regard to the chip itself, we don't think it'll be any more harmful than an asphalt surface.
Thank you very much. I just needed an answer. Thank you. We need a motion now. Go ahead. Another question.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So I'm glad you asked that question because I'm familiar with the term chip seal. So the seal coat, I wasn't considering it to be chip seal. I was thinking it more of a, maybe as I'm not a road expert, I was thinking it was more of a different type of sealant.
Question.
So hence my question, these are rural roads that have a lot of traffic apart from the Harvard Park, is that correct?
Through the CAO to mayor and council, that's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Looking for a motion. Go ahead. Okay. Who was first? Brent, go ahead. Councillor Ramsey.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Wood. Yeah, I would move staff recommendation that we approve the award of the 2025 Seal Coat Program tender as presented.
Thank you. Discussion. Well, lots of discussion. All right, we're going to go around this way. Councillor Moore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So thanks for the report and the clarification. And I'm very happy to see that this is not going to be in residential areas in subdivisions in my division. I'm sure Mr. Black remembers that we did have a couple of episodes and in Division 2 also. So I'm happy to see that this is on, because there is a place for this, and I understand why we do it, to extend the life of a road. But some things just don't fit. So I'm very happy to support this motion because of where it's going to be. And I know we're going to be talking about chip seal in the future. I'm not sure whether it's this term, but I know it's definitely... and it's, as I say, it's a great program. It just has to be in the right place. So happy to support this as it is now. Thank you.
Councillor Massey.
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor. Interesting in the future if we can come up with some different types of chip coat, chip seal, seal coat, soft gravel, light gravel. When you wipe out on your bike, will it not hurt you or not? Yeah, wear bubbles. It's 16 kilometers of road. And you've got 8 prioritized sites, but you're not hinting at where they might be. I'm assuming they're going to be on existing asphalt, or I don't know what else we have. And is there any way of maybe having some hints on where maybe some of these 8 priority roads are? And I can either brag it up to my ratepayers or warn them that the oil and chip trucks are coming, because I think even during the application, when you drive on these roads, there's a little higher chance of getting a chipped windshield if you don't do the recommended 50 kilometers an hour. And on rural roads, not everyone does the new posted 50K speed limit. So I'm excited about doing seal coat. I won't be here for the future negotiations when you talk about this residential seal coat. Maybe I'll show up that day. But can you hint to where some of these roads might be on this 16 kilometers? And
through the CAO to mayor and council. So Range Road 283, Highway 11 to Highway 11A is one site. Township Road 384, and that's from Range Road 284 to Burnt Lake Trail. Like I had mentioned, 21st Street, that 100-meter section there in Harvard Park area. Range Road 252, Township Road, from Township Road 364 to Highway 816. Township Road 360, that's from Highway 2A to where it ends, the pavement, or the chip seal ends, so right to where the gravel starts. Township Road 355A from Range Road 10 to Highway 54, and that includes Range Road 10 from Township Road 355A to the water treatment plant that's out in that area. And then the last 2 sites here, we have Carefree Road, which is Township Road 353, from Carefree Resort to Range Road 25. And last final site is Range Road 30, south of Cottonwood Road to Township Road 352.
Councillor Holzman.
Well, thank you for the listing of the places, because that was going to be my question, and there's quite a few in my division, so I'm grateful to hear that. And I'm very thankful that you have 7 days prior to the work starting. So as people call, at least I can say 7 days prior, you'll see the posting, so remember to watch the speed signs, as Councillor Massier said, and go a different route. So thank you for the work, and I'm totally supportive.
Councillor Palm.
Yeah, I don't really have, I totally support it, and I think it's good. And one of the roads is kind of, I drive on every day, so that'll be nice. And yeah, all good.
Councillor Kennett.
Yeah, it's good to see that there was more than one bid, actually, and multiple bids, and in a fairly tight range, too, it looks like, so, which fits into our budget quite nicely, so I'm glad to see this. Thank you.
Councillor Ramsey. Great. Fully supportive. Great program. This keeps the road in good shape and extends the longevity. You know, I take a look as well utilized, not just in Red Deer County, but province-wide, right? So it's good to see that the tenders were competitive, and fully supportive myself. Who made the motion? Councillor Ramsey, go ahead. All those in favor? It's unanimous. Okay, continuing on to, thank you very much. Appreciate your work. Item 5.3, restricted road access to road allowance. Good morning, Mr. Koopmans.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. Excuse me. Always a pleasure to be have the opportunity to be in front of you guys. So welcome and thank you for the opportunity. Before I start, though, just wanted to mention Kelly Hairchuk, who's back now from maternity leave. She was off all last year. She did a ton of work on this and was supposed to present today, but she's off on vacation. Go figure. I think we're working her a little too hard, but no, she she did the lion's share on this and presented completed the report and the presentation. So I just wanted to give that acknowledgement to her. The purpose today is to consider two council resolutions. A request pursuant to Council Policy 2.034, which is a restricted access to road allowances, to allow for restricted access on an undeveloped road right-of-way identified as Range Road 265, located north of Township Road 365A, between northeast of 31, 3626 west of the 4th, and the northwest of 32, 3626 west of the 4th, for approximately 3.98 acres. And request for the two applicants to enter into two separate lease agreements with the county for the 3.9 acres of the same undeveloped road right-of-way located approximately 20 meters north of Township Road 365A on Range Road 265, where the south gate is located to the end of the quarter section line and the north gate is located on the north. So I'm just going to ask you to bear with me on this one a little bit because this isn't the normal one applicant, and you'll see how it progresses. So a little bit of background on this. The original applicant owns the adjacent parcel, which is the first parcel out of the northwest of 3226 west of the 4th, east of the undeveloped road right-of-way. It's that little 10-acre parcel. The original applicant would have been entering into a 5-year right-of-way license agreement with the option for another 5 years to utilize this full right-of-way and for access prevention, essentially. Location of the south gate installed by the original applicant is approximately 20 meters north of the Township Road 365A and Range Road 265 intersection. The maintenance and care of this gate will still be their sole responsibility of the applicant. Access will still be provided to Red Deer County, any of our agents, such as Transportation Economic Corridors, Emergency Services, and any adjacent landowners that has a vested interest in accessing this farmland. This application was then referred to both internal and external agencies as well as a neighboring landowners for comments and concerns. It was at this time that we received one inquiry from the adjacent landowner of the northeast of 31, 3626, who also owns the balance of that quarter of the northwest of 32, 26, 4, and the inquiry was to request a lease a portion of the undeveloped road right-of-way between the two parcels and to have continued access to move, essentially graze their cattle back and forth. We sat down with both the original applicant as well as the adjacent landowner, and it was mutually agreed upon to have two separate lease agreements. So we've got one application here, but as a result, we'll have two separate lease agreements. Applicant number one will lease 0.88 acres adjacent to their parcel, and applicant number two will lease the balance, the 3.10 acres portion between the two parcels. There is currently fencing installed on the boundaries of the undeveloped road right-of-way and a north gate by applicant number two. Both applicants will be responsible for the maintenance and care of the fencing and each of their gates and the undeveloped road right-of-way. Essentially, how it's stated in our agreements is general husbandry to keep and maintain the properties if it's their own. Partnership between Red Deer County and the applicants will assist in reducing the amount of illegal activity, trespassing, and for safety concerns. This application from the applicant actually originated as a result of safety issues, as a result of illegal dumping, as a result of illegal trespassing. And there are zero anticipated financial implications to Red Deer County. A couple notes on the lease agreement, as we always have, is upon the sale or future development of the northwest of 3626, whereby requiring the road construction in the right-of-way, this will terminate the lease automatically. We also have a notwithstanding clause in every one of our leases that essentially states that we give 30 days notice if something changes, or let's say for whatever reason the relationship with the lessee goes south. It gives us that option, so we just give 30 days notice and we can terminate. The other one is the combination and access for both the north and south gates will be provided to us, Red Deer County, and our adjacent, any adjacent landowners, as well as any adjacents that are, agencies that are representing Red Deer County. And both applicants are well aware of the conditions in the lease agreement, because this is point number one I always point out, just so you're aware, there is a notwithstanding clause, just so that there's a level of transparency. Our recommendation is, resolution number one, is to allow for a restricted road access on an undeveloped road right-of-way located approximately 20 meters north of Township Road 365A on Range Road 265 between northeast of 313626 west of the 4th, as well as the northwest of 323626 west of the 4th, for approximately the full 3.98 acres, and to approve a request for the two applicants to enter into two separate lease agreements with the county for the full 3.98 acres of the same undeveloped road right-of-way. Approximately located approximately 20 meters north of Township Road 365A on Range Road 265, where the south gate is located to the end of the quarter section line. On the north end, there's also a north gate that's on there as well. The last page is some photos, because that's gonna kind of show where the location of the gates are. And if need be, and I apologize if I maybe went a little bit quickly, but if need be, I can always go back to that one photo that essentially shows the breakdown of who's responsible for what. And for our standpoint, when I look at the policy of restricted road access, which is the 2.034, it states emphatically in there, it's for the construction of the gate, it's for the maintenance of that road, and that we really approach this like this is a win-win for us in that we have the adjacent landowner who owns the balance of that one quarter, as well as the quarter on the other side, as well as the acreage owner, and they're willing to work together on this. So it made a lot of sense. Thanks.
Thank you for the report. Any questions? Councillor Kennett, we'll go around. Sure, right.
Yeah, I saw this, and it's kind of a sad thing too, because this used to be Darwell Ski Hill, and I taught my sister to ski there back in the early 80s. But it's good to see that there's an agreement between the landowners. In your one diagram, you had a red demarcation sort of at the top of the acreage owners. Are they supposed to put in a gate there as well? Is that what I'm understanding, or just the two yellow gates, one at the north and one at the south?
Mr. Koopmans.
Through the CAO to Mayor and Council, I think it's just an identifier of essentially where the one applicant's responsibility will end and the other one will begin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions, Councillor Ramsey? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. The south gate location, it's kind of tricky with this one, because technically that's county road, but it's also their driveway. So I'm just, what we've seen with some of these in the past is that would be a little bit further up, restricting the actual road access, not their driveway essentially. So I get this one's kind of tricky the way that road is built, but I'm just curious, is that really the best location?
Mr. Koopmans.
Through the CAO to Mayor and Council, and good question. The gate is up already. on that one. And I can tell you the reasoning behind the gate already being up and installed was they were getting a lot of less than savory traffic flow. They were getting illegal dumping. This was one of the best ways to mitigate that. And at the time that they installed the gate, they were under the understanding that this was part of their parcel just because it was no longer even being graded or anything. So they thought, okay, it stops there. It makes sense for us. I can tell you since the installation of that gate and the last, I sat down with the owners back, this would have been initially back in December of 2024. And they said since the installation of that gate, they haven't had the issues they've had. I can tell you that there had been criminal activity that had gone on, and not because of anything that the owner is involved with, but because essentially that road, it allowed for parking that you were kind of hidden away, and then they'd get a lot of looky-loos, and really when I look at 2.034, again, it talks about, our policy talks about the installation of gates on our restricted road accesses for the purpose of mitigating that traffic flow. So this did make a lot of sense.
Okay, fair enough.
Councillor Moore.
Thank you. Great report, Mr. Koopmans. A lot of my questions were answered. Just a note on the two applicants, the lessees. Was it easy to come to this agreement? Do you see that there's a real willingness to work together? There was no issues there?
Through the CAO to mayor and council, absolutely. It was a win-win, and it made sense from us, and it made sense from their standpoint as well, because the one applicant that has a 10-acre parcel, their neighbor wants to utilize that undeveloped road right-of-way to move their pasture, and they don't want to hinder that either. So,
perfect. Thank you.
Councillor Master.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I don't know how to work it as a question. I could save it for debate, but
Well, you can save it if you want.
no, I'll get it over with now. Can I still ski there? Because I remember skiing there 50 years ago. Wow. Anyways, my true question, if a hunter or someone that wanted to walk came to these applicants that have the lease, are they allowed to give permission for access? Like, we're closing these roads for these peoples. Is it their exclusive use, or could they say, yeah, Joe Hunter, you can go back in the bush? And do they have that ability in your lease?
Mr. Koopmans.
through the CAO to mayor and council, no. Our leases emphatically state there is absolutely no hunting on Red Deer County land. And to provide a bit of an example, we had a situation out west where we did have an issue with hunters that were utilizing our road right-of-way, essentially clearing some trees, making it easy for them to access other quarters, which went to privately owned quarters. I reached out to Fish and Wildlife, Sustainable Resources, or whatever they're called now, and we sat down, and it's not the same as Crown land. This is Red Deer County owned land, so we're allowed to either permit or deny. And I can tell you that's one of the conditions in all of our leases, that it's not to be used for hunting purposes.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Holzman. You ask your questions, Councillor DePalm, and make your motion if you like.
I don't have any questions. I'll just make the motion. I guess my one question is, do I have to make these both separately, or can
Yes, separately, please.
Okay. Well, first off, I guess I'll do resolution number 1. I'm not going to read it all out, but as presented there. And then my comments would be, this was a great report, and what you guys accomplished, I think, is awesome with the two landowners. Because if the gentleman and the owners in the back are moving cattle back and forth, it completely makes sense. So kudos to Kelly and you for doing and getting everyone to agree and go forward with this. So, yeah, that's my comment for resolution number 1 at this point.
Any discussion on resolution number 1? Councillor Kennett.
Yeah, this makes sense. This is the ski hill. When it was steep enough to ski on, and for the county to even build a road there be very difficult, and it's not needed. You know, so this whole thing makes sense. It's one of those things where sort of the dead end, and we get these people dumping garbage where they shouldn't be, and you know, with a bush quarter on both sides there, it's pretty easy to hide it. So this makes sense. Let the landowners sort of take care of it and keep it up, and give them an opportunity to keep it secure as well. So I support this fully.
Any other comments? I'll go around if there is. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. I support this motion. I think obviously we've had a situation where there's been illegal criminal activity happening, and this is a way to mitigate that. And there's a win-win here. So I totally support the motion.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We got one more motion.
So I would move resolution number 2 as presented. I'm not reading it out.
Any discussion on resolution number 2? Councillor Messier.
So it depends in the county where you live. Does it affect the rates of what we're charging to lease this land? I'm assuming you're getting your $100 an acre cultivation rate and making good money on these small parcels, or I guess I don't know, which is why I'm asking a question.
Through CAO to Mayor and Council, our lease rates for pasture land and our lease rates for cultivated land on these restricted road accesses is built into our fee bylaw. So if you're asking me from a market value perspective, no, they're lower than that, because again, we're not talking about a full quarter that we're renting out, and I can tell you that practice, as we know, that's put out for tender, and so that we can get the highest amount of rate per acre that we can. Something like this, it's built into our fee bylaw that we review every year, and essentially your end user, this is only a value to the adjacent property, because the last thing we ever want to do is lease out restricted road access to somebody that has zero vested interest in or surrounding that parcel.
Which brings us into the fee schedule. Is your memory any good? Is it $20, $50? Just a ballpark in there.
I can tell you exactly what it is. Through CAO to Mayor and Council, it's $50 an acre for cultivated, and it's $25 an acre for pasture.
Because I'm with you 100% on the cost. When I'm only getting 4 extra acres and it's already fenced and I'm doing all that, yeah, should it be a fee at all? And, you know, it's kind of like our minimum tax bylaw. It's $25, $50 administration fee, and that sounds very fair.
That's another day.
Through
the motion's on the table, isn't it?
Yeah. Through CAO.
Are we changing our fee bylaw? Okay, go ahead. Continue, sir.
Through CAO to Mayor and Council, and to your point, because I didn't quite finish, we do have a minimum charge, and regardless, like especially we're looking at 0.88 acres for the one. Our minimum charge is $50 regardless of the amount, because again, we're trying to do some sort of cost recovery just with the administrative work, and I can tell you the amount of work Kelly put in. So,
any further discussion, Councillor Master? No. Any further discussion by anyone else? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So I will support the second resolution here. I really like the agreement that you covered all the bases there, the relationship changes and on the sale or development of that property. So well done on the report, and I think we've got a real win-win here.
Councillor Palm?
No, I'm good.
You're good? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much.
We have a break.
Yeah, let's have a break. Let's come back at 10:30.
We have all the administration we need.
Well, that's good. I tell you what, we've got the best administration of anywhere. I just was counting how many, because sometimes we have more than today. So I'd like to call Red Deer County back to order. The time is 10:31. The next item on our agenda is item number 5.4, bylaw number 1006/2025. On this, who's going to handle this one? Oh, Ms. Curio, how are you this morning?
Thank you very much.
That's good.
So this morning is to present you with the ISDAB bylaw. As council is aware, later on the agenda, you have consideration of the first reading of the IDP. So this kind of goes in tandem with that, because you are required to establish an ISDAB bylaw and board when the IDP is passed. So it's required by section 627 of the MGA, and the bylaw has been drafted with two principles in mind, to reflect the principles found in the new IDP and to maintain most of the key elements of the existing ISDAB bylaw. I'll go through it and note which ones are not included anymore. So the elements that we're preserving in the new bylaw is Red Deer County will continue to be responsible for administration of appeals filed within the plan area. The mandate of the board is not changing. Of course, that's to hear development and subdivision appeals from the plan area. Appointments to the board will continue to be made by the respective councils. The term of service for each board member will be 3 years. That matches their training as well. And there's a maximum of 2 consecutive terms for members on the board. Hearings must have equal representation by most municipalities. And to file an appeal, appellants must file a notice of appeal and pay the appeal fee of $400. The changes from the existing bylaw includes obviously the plan area. The proposed IDP this round does not require the establishment of the Intermunicipal Disagreement Resolution Board, so that section has been removed. We are proposing an increase in board members, increase from 3 plus an alternate to 5 members each from each municipality. And that is for essentially the sole purpose of making it a little bit easier to staff and manage both the ISDAB and the SDAB, because we can ask council to appoint both, all board members to both boards, and then use them as they're available, which will be a little bit easier. When you do appoint a chair, we will ask you to appoint them for a specified length of term. They can be a little bit difficult to find, so we'll come forward when needed with a recommendation on that. And this does remove quorum and add a provision for the board to meet in panels of 2, 3, 4, or 5 members for appeal hearings. So the proposed changes is to allow for a 1-member panel to convene for the sole purpose of addressing preliminary matters. Most often with SDAB, you see preliminary matters in scheduling, because once an appeal is filed, you have to hear it within 30 days, and sometimes it's not always easy to get everybody in the same room within 30 days. So a 1-member panel could convene the hearing and adjourn it to a different day. There is a provision in the bylaw this time to ensure that each municipality is responsible for getting their members trained and holding that certification. And the board may meet as a committee to address administrative matters such as hearing procedures. So the SDAB and the ISDAB will be developing a public-facing document that tells people how the board functions and a little bit of the rules of procedure and things, so it's a little bit more transparent for people who might have to come before the board. And hearings may be held in person, via teleconference, and video conference. The recommendation today is that council give bylaw number 1006/2025 first reading, and if first reading is given, of course, this will be brought back in tandem with your IDP for second and third. Thank you.
Thank you for your report. Looking for questions. Councillor Holzman, any questions?
Not at this time, I don't.
Councillor Messier?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Two questions. The first one, this is for an ISDAB. Is it just for the Red Deer IDP, or will it be a joint board for other IDP areas? I'm good, yeah. Or is it just for the Red Deer IDP area?
Ms. Curio?
Through the acting CAO to council, it is just for city and county.
Okay. And then the other question is, in the report, it talks about the city appointing up to 5 and the county appointing up to 5. And then further down, the maximum panel size remains the same at 5. So I must be counting my fingers wrong or something.
Ms. Curio?
You are not counting your fingers wrong through the acting CAO. So again, we're just asking for that additional appointment so that we can use the panel members on both the SDAB or the ISDAB, depending on their availability.
So you never use all of them, is I guess what you're saying.
Exactly.
There
It would
you
be
go.
very difficult to convene an ISDAB with 10 members.
Okay, have lots of people to pick from.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Moore?
Thank you. Thanks for the report, Ms. Carrillo. Just a question on the disagreement mechanism that is not going to be included in the new bylaw. Is that going to be replaced by something else, or how will that be addressed if that should happen?
Ms. Curio?
Through this acting CAO to council. So the existing IDP does require the establishment of the Intermunicipal Dispute Resolution Board. That board has never convened or met. And my understanding, and based on prior reading of earlier drafts, is that the IDP, the new IDP, includes that mechanism right within the bulk of it.
So it's still there, just in the IDP?
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor Ramsey?
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So we provide the clerk and host everything. Do we split those costs?
Ms. Carrillo?
Part of the principles in the IDP is that we share relatively even costs. So yes, the city is responsible for remuneration and training for their board members, and we are for ours.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the admin costs. But
Admin costs have been, this board doesn't traditionally or historically meet a lot, so that hasn't been excessive.
Okay.
If it were to be, we would meet as administration and likely come forward with something.
Okay, fair enough. And then since this is kind of a joint document, is our ability to make amendments to what's being proposed?
We do welcome amendments. Of course, any amendment that's made, I'd have to take back to their administration and make sure they were okay with it as well.
Councillor Kennett?
I got a question. I thought I heard you say that quorum was 2, 3, or 4, or 5, but one member could make a decision to delay, or how did you put it in here? Adjourn to a later date. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so the quorum provision has been taken completely out. It's best practice with administrative tribunals that there is no quorum mentioned in the bylaw. They are not held to the same procedural standards as most committees and council is. So quorum doesn't really technically apply. Instead, what the bylaw enables them to do is sit in panels of 2, 3, 4, 5. It says in the bylaw, it says, notwithstanding that, you can have a single member panel convene for preliminary or procedural matters only. The merit of the appeal or the meat of it could not be heard by only one person. It would have to go to at least a panel of 2.
Okay, good. So there is a control that they can't decide something on their own.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor DePalma?
So that was one of my concerns, was the one person. I guess the other question I would have, so if it's a panel of two, hearing it, so what happens if they both don't agree, come to an agreement, the two people, like there's not a tiebreaker kind of thing?
Ms. Carrillo?
Through the acting CAO to council, that's an excellent question. It's one I've been asked before. So we would work very hard with the two members to come to some kind of consensus. I've never encountered an experience where we haven't been able to, particularly if we, when it gets down to that point, the board typically asks for legal advice. And so then you bring in legal and help flesh out their thought process and their concerns, and then we can generally work through it. However, case law does say that when it's a hung jury, so to speak, it would be the presiding officer that would have the casting vote. So it would go the way of the presiding officer.
Sorry, so who would that be?
In terms of when you're sitting as an equal membered panel, they choose from among themselves. So it could be either a city member or a county member.
Okay. Okay, I think I get it. Okay, thanks for the explanation. I just couldn't see how it worked. Okay, thanks.
Did you have any questions, Councillor Holzman? No. Okay. I'll just ask, so the way I'm hearing it, my question is, so if there's a two panel, one member's from the city and one member's from the county, and they're always equal each way. All right, perfect. And my question was answered on the one person panel because I was going to try to figure how that one worked. And then on the number on 5, so that would create an odd number. Could you help me with that one? Because I think that was Councillor Massey's question.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing. So typically when the board meets, they will always have a chair. And the chair is neither appointed by the city or the county. It's a joint appointment, right? So they are not counted in that equal members. So in the event that the chair is not available and we go to an even numbered panel, then you would have equal representation and they would choose the chair from between them.
Okay.
That answer your question?
It did. Thank you. See more questions? Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. So the presiding officer gets to decide if there's no consensus can be made. So is the presiding officer someone beyond the two members? Like, would that be the chair?
Ms. Carrillo.
Thank you for the question. So it's not guaranteed that that would be the chair, no. So that would be a member either appointed by the county or the city. In those instances, it is extremely rare that there is an issue that they can't or don't have consensus on. It would come down to a question of interpretation and application of the land use bylaw or the IDP in this case. So that's where the legal assistance comes in and helps them to work through that and get their reasons out. In doing that, they generally come to consensus. Like I said, in my experience over the last 25 years, I've never had a board get to that point.
If I may, that's good to hear that you've never had that situation, Ms. Carrillo, but I think my question is, if we're going to represent our own municipality and we're going to be biased naturally because of, so how do we navigate that? Sorry.
I'll have one more question. Answer the question that's been asked. No.
Sure. So bias is kind of a natural element in any board or committee setting. So the key is to make sure that your panel members are self-aware and that they're recognizing it. In the event that it happened and the presiding officer had the deciding factor and you did not like the decision, that is appealable by you as well.
Looking for a motion. One of you two. Councillor Kennett.
Yeah, thank you. Want to thank staff for all the work on this and the work with our city. So I'd move giving first reading to bylaw number 1006/2025 as presented. Thank you.
Thank you. First reading has been moved by Councillor Kennett. Councillor Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. I would like to propose an amendment that we remove 6.3.2, which is the clause for the one member person to sit. And my concern with that is I get the challenge in meeting the 30-day time limit, but we're already adding flexibility by appointing more members to give you more members to pick from, and you can have a panel of just 2 people. Why do we need a clause for one person to delay the hearing? And I've seen this in the past where at an SDAB hearing where they couldn't make quorum and they had to delay it. And they used that, to me it felt like a loophole basically to extend the time to hear it. And you already have your appellants and everything in here to present, and then the hearing gets delayed by one person. So I struggle with that clause because I feel we're just kind of creating a bit of a loophole to extend the timeline to hear these things. We have a 30-day requirement to hear them. We're giving more flexibility in this bylaw to create a panel to hear those things. I don't think we need that clause.
I have a question of administration. And basically, will the city have a mirroring bylaw to this one? And should we make changes? How does that affect this committee?
If the amendment were to pass, administration would have to go back and notify the city that, of course, the bylaw has changed, because they do need to be substantially similar.
Okay. Was that a movement of an amendment? Okay, so we have a movement of amendment. Is that friendly, Councillor Kennett?
No, I don't think can't be friendly.
Okay. Okay. So then we will discuss the amendment only at this time. We'll go around. We'll go in the room. Councillor Ramsey will have the opportunity to close. I'll speak prior to him. Councillor Moore, go ahead.
So before I make my comments, I have a question of Ms. Carrillo, if that's okay, Mayor Wood.
Yeah, that's fine.
In your opinion, what are the risks to this one-person panel?
Through the acting CEO to council, the risks are minimal. This actually mirrors a process that is used by assessment review boards, and that's actually written right into their legislation. And so long as everybody, and by everybody I mean the panel member, the supporting staff, and the parties are clear when they go into a preliminary matter or a preliminary hearing, then it's confined to that issue only. And just to Councillor Ramsey's point, it's not always a question of board member availability. Sometimes it's the availability of the parties as well that we can't accommodate within that 30 days. So.
Thank you.
Thank you. So on that note, thank you for the assurance. Ms. Carrillo, I will not support the amendment as presented. I've received enough assurance that we have a process that's tried and tested and used in other areas of governance.
Councillor Massier? Councillor Holzman?
I can't support the amendment either. If it's been used in assessment appeals, I think that's something that we should follow through proper governance.
Councillor Palm?
I guess I understand the amendment, but that being said, I understand the other side of it. So I think right now I can't support the amendment.
Councillor Kennett?
Yeah, I can't support this. Staff and the city staff put a lot of effort into this, and there's a reason why they put this in there, to handle procedural matters when they can't get a date. So I think it needs to stay. So thank you.
I will not support the amendment either, for the same reasons I've heard from others. Councillor Ramsey?
Yeah, sure. I still stand by my amendment. I don't think this is about risk. I think this is about fairness to everyone involved. And like I say, I've seen in the past where this has created, you know, situations where people come prepared, and now it's being stretched. You know, we're supposed to hear it within 30 days, and I get there can be challenges with that, but I think in fairness to everyone involved, that's what we need to focus on, not relying on a potential, like I say, loophole to extend that timeline when we're giving more flexibility and more members to the board.
Thank you. We've had good discussion, so we have an amendment on the floor by Councillor Ramsey to remove the one-member panel. All those in favor of that amendment? All those opposed to that amendment? The amendment has been defeated. Councillor Ramsey was the only one in favor. We are now back to the original motion made by Councillor Kennett of first reading. Any further discussion on first reading? Councillor Massier. Well,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My question on the amendment, it's coming for a public hearing, I believe, or no, we're only asking for first reading. It doesn't require a public hearing, but we're only asking for first reading today, and is there a reason why you don't want to push it through 3 readings and give it back to the city, or why just 1 reading today and no public hearing required?
Ms. Carrillo.
Simple answer is because we had time.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of first reading? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Continuing on to development applications and reports. Thanks, Ms. Carrillo, for your work on that last one. Yes. On to development application reports, item number 6.1, southwest of 3038 264 redesignation R1 to ag.
Good morning.
Okay, Ms. McLaughlin?
Yes.
Oh, I got it right.
I'm here this morning to present to you a redesignation application and consider granting first reading to bylaw number 1002/2025-C to redesignate 1.68 hectares from country residential to the agricultural district on part of the southwest 3826 west of the 4th, and also set a public hearing date for June 17th. This parcel is located about 1 kilometer east of the city of Red Deer boundary. The parcel is accessed from Range Road 270, which is a gravel county road, and the parcel is currently zoned country residential, which is the R1 district. The applicant, who is the landowner, is requesting redesignation from R1 to the Ag District for a few reasons: to allow a second dwelling, to better reflect the land's potential, to be zoned the same as surrounding parcels, and to allow more flexibility for keeping of animals. So this is an ag parcel, which is over, it is 4.15 acres, so it's a little bit larger than your typical R1 country residential. From what we know in the reasoning that it was zoned R1 is when it was subdivided, there was just an automatic rezoning to the country residential type district versus leaving it ag. So if a subdivision came forward for this type of parcel now, we wouldn't require them to redesignate to R1, we would just leave it as agricultural district. So the parcel size does comply with the minimum size of an ag parcel, which is a minimum of 3 acres, and this one is 4.15. The surrounding parcels are zoned primarily agricultural, with the parcel directly south zoned country residential, so you can see the variety of the zoning there. The parcel is located within the Divide Hills Area Structure Plan and is shown as country residential on the land use concept map, so that will not change. It will remain as country residential for future. So if the city develops out into this area, it is still designated as country residential, so no amendment is required to Divide Hills, and it was circulated to the city of Red Deer, and they had no concerns with this redesignation. The parcel is located within the Red Deer County and City of Red Deer EP and is within the City of Red Deer growth area. And the parcel is not located within an environmentally significant area. So with this application, we will refer it to internal and external agencies as well as adjacent landowners and bring those comments back as part of the public hearing date on June 17th. So we do recommend Council grant first reading to Bylaw 1002/2025-C to redesignate 1.68 hectares from country residential to agricultural district and set a public hearing date for June 17th. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Any questions? Councillor Moore?
Thank you for the report. Just a question on the assessment then. This would be, it was assessed as country residential then in the past?
Through the acting CAO to members of council, yes, it would be currently designated, but the assessment would also be based on the structures that are on the property, and so that isn't changing. It is just the zoning that's changing.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ramsey?
Thank you, Mayor Wood. Question about the public hearing date that's being recommended. That is the same day as our gravel overlay public hearing, and I'm just guessing that that's going to be a pretty full day. So I'm curious about the date.
Through the acting CAO to members of council, so we did recognize that, but we do think that this public hearing will be quite short compared to the gravel public hearing, so we would hope that it would come forward first, deal with this one, and then deal with gravel second. I don't anticipate that this would be a lengthy public hearing.
Okay.
Councillor Kennett? Councillor DePalm? Councillor Holzman? Massier? Looking for a motion, Councillor Kennett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this one makes sense. So I'd move first reading to bylaw number 1002/2025-C and set a public hearing date for June 17th, 2025, as per recommendation 4.0A. Thank you. Any discussion? Oh, go ahead.
I guess my only discussion is I think this is great, honestly.
Just be careful because we haven't heard from the public yet.
Okay, well, this has come before us before, and to just go at this level and not have to do the defined area structure plan, I think is great at this point. So,
any other comments? All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Thank you. Continuing on, item number 6.2, bylaw number 1002/2025-D. Is this you, Mr. Mohe?
That is correct.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everybody's doing okay. Is to consider granting first reading to bylaw number 1002/2025-D. It's a bylaw to amend the land use bylaw by amending a portion of that Liberty Landing Direct Control District 9A, just the map, from Liberty Landing medium density residential to Liberty Landing single family dwelling small zero lot lines as indicated in Schedule B of the report, and public hearing date for July 8th. Slide. The intent of this application is to redesignate the subject area from medium density duplex to single detached dwelling zero lot line. The applicant has indicated they are applying for the amendment in response to the current real estate market condition and market demand. Subject land is located within southeast portion of the Southwest 29, 3727 west of the 4th of the Liberty Land residential development within the hamlet of Gasoline Alley, county growth area of the city and county IDP. It's also within the Gasoline Alley West major structure plan and indicated as future residential, and it's located 900 meters west of the QE2 and adjacent south of Waskesiu Avenue. Yeah, surrounding lands are within the DCD 9A Liberty Landing, which include a mix of low to high density residential development. Other lands outside of this district are a mix of commercial and country residential developments. Just one thing to note, though, that the proposed amendment is also being conducted in conjunction with the Liberty Landing Outline Plan Amendment and reflecting the same changes. The staff recommendation is to grant first reading as stated in Alternatives 4A. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Are there any questions? Councillor Moore, followed by Councillor Massey, and around the table.
Thank you, Mr. Mohay, for the report. So, I understand that, you know, the market is going, you know, is quite fluid at the moment. Didn't we not long ago change to go to more multifamily, higher density in this area? And just, there's been a lot of activity and change of home style or development style.
Mr. Mohay.
Through the acting CEO, through Councillor Moore, it's just a response. The previous amendment last year was also of the same nature, creating into a small zero lot line. That's because within this amendment in itself, the duplex is the only difference is that dividing line or that party wall for a duplex. The density in itself would be the same.
So not much difference between a single detached to the duplex, you're saying, with the zero lot line?
That is correct. It's just because of marketing. Right now, the single detached dwelling are the ones that are more marketable within the demand that people are looking for, instead of a party wall of a duplex type of residence.
Thank you.
Councillor Massey.
Yeah, I'll do my best like Councillor Moore and turn that one into a question because, boy, that was right up my alley. You did a really good job because the answer I heard was, might not be the same answer to my, how do you turn it into a question? And it's the big picture. We came up with an outline plan, and there's going to be some large single lot estate-like lots, and there's going to be some high-rise buildings with townhouse appearance, and there's going to be some, yeah, in the outline. And now, so how do you word the question? Why are we changing the density one street at a time? And I think I heard an answer, we're not. A duplex and zero lot line are similar type of densities that's meeting the mandate of the large outline plan. Is that a close enough question?
I think Mr. Dietrich wants to answer this question.
So just to be through to Mayor Wood and to Councillor Massey, just to be clear, no density changes, just the market. People want their own piece, their own 24-foot wide lot. They don't want to share a wall. And so, and it's really been an advent. You see them all over. I know my daughter lives in a neighborhood like this in Edmonton where it's a 24-foot wide lot and a 20-foot wide house. It's their own piece of heaven, and that's what they're marketing to. There's no density difference. We're still going to get the same number of dwelling units on the land. Just they aren't going to share a wall. They're going to have a narrow house.
You're done, Councillor Massey?
Before first reading, I sure
am. Okay. Councillor Holzman, no. Councillor DePalm, no. Councillor, I'll come back to you last, Councillor Kennett. Councillor Ramsey? No, I have no questions. Go ahead, Councillor Kennett.
Yeah, thank you. So I'd move first reading of bylaw 1002/2025-D to amend the land use bylaw 2022/26 direct control district number 9A Liberty Landing per the attached proposed bylaw and set the public hearing for July 8th, 2025 at 1:30 p.m. And I'll save my comments for the public hearing. Thank you.
Any comments? Okay, all those in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. All right, we're on a roll here. And we're on to item number 6. Mr. Mahoy, thank you. Item number 6.3, City of Red Deer and Red Deer County IDP. Mr. Barr's here. Good morning, Mr. Barr.
Good morning. Did you ever think we'd ever get to this point? It's been a long haul.
Well, I just want to say, you know what? Thank you for your hard work. We're here. Thank you.
Patience. So, to consider granting first reading to bylaw number 1008 slash 2025, a bylaw that proposes to adopt the City of Red Deer and Red Deer County Intermunicipal Development Plan and set a joint hearing, our public hearing date for June 16th, 2025 at 3 p.m. here at Council Chambers, Red Deer County Center, and approve the joint public hearing procedures that are also included in your attached or in your report under Schedule C. So the proposed IDP is a result, and I'm calling it 3 years, or we think it's around 3 years, feels like 3 years of collaboration between representatives of the City of Red Deer and Red Deer County, RCC committee, and the respective councils with the assistance of their respective admins. The plan was also developed in consideration of input, and when I say input, there's a lot of input. We're just glossing over it a little bit here just because it's a first reading. We'll get more into it in our public hearing. Received from the public and members of the Indigenous community. The plan provides a framework for the city and county to work together to address issues and opportunities of mutual concern for the area surrounding the City of Red Deer, as indicated in your attachments. And the proposed IDP addresses various items as required under the MGA, Municipal Government Act, that include but are not limited to future land use within a plan area, the provisions of transportation systems, as well as environmental matters, either generally or specifically for the area, the coordination of intermunicipal programs related to physical, social, and economic development, as well as matters related to the physical, social, and economic development of the area that council is considered necessary. Seems like to be good. Okay. The IDP also includes procedures to resolve conflicts, a procedure to amend or repeal the plan, as well as provisions relating to the administration of the plan. The successful implementation of the IDP will require the ongoing commitment from both municipalities to the principles, goals, and policies that are outlined in the IDP. So prior to council giving second and third reading to the proposed bylaw, public hearing must be held. In addition to the public hearing requirement, both the city and Red Deer City Council and Red Deer County Council must pass a motion to adopt the IDP respectively. A special joint council meeting of Red County and the city is proposed for June 16th at 3 p.m. at Council Chambers, Red Deer County Center, for the purpose of conducting a joint public hearing for the City of Red Deer and Red Deer Intermunicipal Development Plan. So in your report, there is fairly extensive joint public hearing procedures. The City of Red Deer and the county have unique meeting procedures that are approved by bylaw, and there are areas within each of our bylaws that contradict each other. So as the municipalities have expressed an interest to hold a joint public hearing for the IDP, it is recommended that council pass a resolution at this first reading to establish the meeting procedures which are included in your report to be utilized for the joint public hearing. I am not going to go through all of those. I trust that you have, and I believe these went through RCC as well for review. This will ensure that these procedures can be advertised and shared to ensure that members of the public are adequately informed about how they can participate in the public hearing. And as I've stated before, these are reviewed by RCC. The process proposed by admin to allow both councils to consider the respective IDP bylaws are as follows. Again, we have a first reading outlined what we're going through today. Both of our councils will be doing as such. I believe the cities will be following ours very shortly. There will be a public hearing. The location has been chosen here for various reasons, including cost savings, room availability. We got decent technology to support staff, et cetera, and ample parking. In terms of second and third, what will end up happening is we'll go through the public hearing process. The idea is that from there, it's basically, I believe we're closing it at that point, and then we come back in the following meeting here in our own chambers. So the city will go back to theirs, we'll go back to ours in the following meeting. and consider second and third readings at that time individually. Is there anything else you would like to add, Jackie? No. Okay, great. So in terms of communication plan, we have the application will be referred to internal and external agencies for comments and concerns once first reading has been granted. The proposed bylaw will also be advertised via county news online posting the county's website, social media prior to the public hearing date. City of Red Deer will also advertise the public hearing in accordance with their standard processes. As part of the agenda, this report has been shared online. Direction on this matter will be included in the meeting minutes, which are published online and summarized in county news. So recommendations, we have 3 here right now. So granting first reading to bylaw number 1008/2025. The IDP set, and we're looking at setting a joint public hearing date for June 16th, 2025 at 3 p.m. here at Council Chambers, Red Deer County Center, located at our address. We're also looking to establish a joint council meeting for Red Deer County at the City of Red Deer on June 16th. It's here, correct? Okay, here on June 16th, 2025 at 3 p.m. in our council chambers for the purpose of conducting a joint public hearing for the bylaw. The City of Red Deer and Red Deer County IDP. We're also looking to approve the joint public hearing procedures that are included as indicated in Schedule C of the report. Thank you.
Thank you for the report. Are there questions? Councillor Master, and then I'm going to go around the table. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how to start these things off without you getting angry at me with my debate. I don't want to talk about the IDP. I don't want to talk about anything. I want to ask questions, and I think it's the joint public hearing. And it's the last sentence. It's in brackets. We're going to have a joint public hearing, first reading, but then it says we're sneaking back to our own chambers for second and third readings. But because we're now separate from the other group, we can't ask staff questions with regards to concerns heard at the public hearing. So, Mr. Dietrich, is that a similar way I handle other public hearings? I hear from the public, and if something's come up in the public, does that mean I'm forced now to make an amendment at second reading? Or can you just explain that system, that if I hear something at a public hearing and it says I can't talk to administration about it?
I'll defer to Jackie Carrillo.
Ms. Carrillo or Mr. Dietrich? Ms. Carrillo?
Thank you. Through the Assistant CAO to Council. That is correct. After the public hearing, you cannot consider additional information. It is standard procedure for municipalities, and I'll use this term loosely, go to their own corners and ask for second and third in their regular meetings. It's not unusual.
So further to my question, in other public hearings, do I not have the opportunity to ask administration for clarity, for something with regards to what I heard at the public hearing? I'm trying to get my head wrapped around, if I hear something at the public hearing, I want to get into this document. How am I going to do that?
I can help you a little bit. Sure. Because typically, at each and every public hearing we have, before the hearing is closed, you have the opportunity to ask questions of administration. It's after the public hearing is closed that we can't ask questions. So you will have an opportunity to ask questions of administration at that particular hearing prior to the time the hearing is closed, if that helps you out. You want to add any more, Ms. Curio?
Thank you. No, that was perfect.
Okay. Start with Councillor Massey, Councillor Holzman.
I was just going to ask some of the questions of clarity of the process, so that helps me to understand that, because I think it's going to be a monumental moment, and thanks. That's the only question I had, is been answered. I think Mr. Massier and I were on the same page.
Councillor DePalm?
Thanks for all that. So my question would be, so what if, I guess during the public hearing, or that things are brought up that we want changed, I guess in this, but that, does this have to go back to the drawing board and start over, or do those things get addressed at that point in time, or how would that work?
Mr. Barr?
So typically, and this is through the acting CAO, yeah, it's interesting. So if we have to amend something, then essentially, yeah, it's we have to come back to you with that amendment and have approval of that. So help me with this. Do we end up having to go back through first reading again if it's a major amendment, or can we tweak that at second? My concern is if we can give it second reading with proposed amendment, but both sides would have to approve that amendment, correct? So that's where it gets a bit tricky for me to get my head wrapped around it.
Mr. Barr has it absolutely correct. So if there were an amendment proposed, it would depend on the extent of the amendment. If an amendment is significant enough, it could restart the entire process, including a new public hearing. But if it's not substantially changing the bylaw, then yes, we would just work with administrations to bring the amendment forward and do second and third reading in a cohesive manner in separate meetings, of course.
Okay, so it would go to the city, and then, and if we didn't agree on that, then things have to go different. Okay, thanks.
Councillor Kennett?
Yeah, thank you. Got a question on, is there a time limit on the hearing? There's a time limit on speakers, but if we got 200 speakers, we started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they each took 5 minutes. That's 1,000 minutes. We'd be sitting here till 6 o'clock next morning, basically. Is there any provision for stopping or anything like that? Is there a time limit that we go to?
Ms. Carrillo?
Through the acting CAO to council. So there is no time limit imposed on the public hearing in order to ensure that you get fulsome information. If it came down to it and you know, you've been here for 6 or 8 hours and you're tired and you want to adjourn, that would be agreed to between the chairs to adjourn to another date to continue the public hearing.
Okay, so
To recess.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ramsey?
Yeah, a couple questions, Mayor Wood. And I know I asked this when it came to GPC, but it's been a while and some things have changed. I'm just want to ensure we're a little bit protected in the IDP that they can't just annex at will. You know, I noticed in there it speaks to when they want to expand that growth area that there's metrics and stuff they have to come and present, but I don't see that specifically in regard to annexation.
Mr. Barr?
So through the acting CAO to Mayor and Council. So we've changed it up a little bit, like with the existing IDP that we have, you know, there's very specific things and da-da-da-da-da. We have since dialed that back quite a bit because it was causing us some issues because it was very structured and they were basically rolling over, you know, and they needed to have a 30-year da-da-da-da-da. And they were now sitting at 17 and then that's slowly grinding up, and every year they would say we would not need to annex any further land. So what we have done is we're relying on common approved annexation principles. And from there, they have to prove out why it is that they need their land, just like any other. If their density, or not their density, their population is whatever, and they're chewing up land at whatever that rate is, they have to come to us with a report essentially proving out to us why it is that they need to annex land and how much land. So the idea too is that they're taking land that's going to be in excess of what they would need within a 5-year period. We don't want them to come back after 5 years and ask for more. So the intent is that if they were to annex land, it would be of some substantial amount. So to answer your question, we've kind of dialed back those specific things that were in place at the time, because at the time it kind of made sense, but over time they found that they weren't growing as fast as they were, and so that became problematic. That's why we're dialing it down to something that's a little bit more manageable and puts the onus on them to prove out what they need at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I like that approach. I agree, the specific metric. Anyway, no, thank you. My second question was going to be around the process for amendments, and hearing that could be quite complicated. I guess my question in regard to what I was thinking was Section 5.2.4 speaks to CFOs, and the IDP area being exclusion area. I'm curious if there was thought or if we'd want to include renewable energy projects in that clause. With the changes to Rule 7, they should be respecting this document, and I have seen in other areas where in the IDP renewable projects like windmills were approved in the IDP area, and I don't know if that would be something we want. To me, if it's not mentioned in that document and an application come forward, could put us in a situation. But, so I don't know if that's something small enough that could be talked amongst the RCC or the administrations, but anyway, just something I noticed. It mentioned CFO, but not renewable energy projects, and it could cause problems. But so I don't know if there was thought given to that.
Mr. Bart?
So again, through the acting CAO to Councillor Ramsey. So when it comes to renewables, as you know, it's a bit of a touchy one, right? And so it's tough to put something like that within any plan, let alone the IDP, because as we know, these decisions are being made by the AUC at the end of the day. And so it gets a little bit difficult whether or not we can actually put statements like that into some of these plans, saying it's excluded when in actuality those decisions are made at a different level. So it's, to speak to that specifically, I think it's brought up or has been brought up in the past. We can definitely speak to it again, most definitely at the public hearing. But right now, I think that's kind of the thought, why CFOs are not included or are included, and why the renewables haven't been, because it's not super clear whether or not we have the ability to actually do that at this level.
Thank you. Councillor Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. My questions are again on annexation. How do we avoid the situation that the residents of in the area of Lynn Valley and the shamelessly political annexation of that land, when it didn't meet any of the criteria, but there was a will? And I honestly believe the residents of Red Deer County, they were not heard. They had no chance. I attended the hearings. It was like it was done. There was a political will there. How do we mitigate that? Because I'm going to read it again. I read it last night, and I wasn't comforted in any way by the new annexation piece.
Mr. Barb.
Through the acting CAO to Councillor Moore. I don't know if I can alleviate that at all. I mean, at the end of the day, the city is going to be the one that's applying for the annexation. If there's objections to it, then it's up to us at the end of the day, the county and or the residents, to express those objections. Falling back, like I said, when it comes to annexation principles and, whether or not they're adhering to those or not, that's where we could, state whether or not they are or not. Not just a simple minor land grab. We're always looking for something that's on the larger end. That said, there's nothing preventing a person to push, and this is what we found with the city's application, at least in a private landowner that was pushing the annexation. It wasn't the city at the end of the day. So yeah, it's tricky. But like I said, I think for the next annexation, we're looking for something substantially larger that makes sense from a municipal perspective and what's helping out the city in general in terms of getting more residential, more commercial, whatever that they need at the end of the day. So can't really answer the question, but that's kind of where the headspace is. There's always the ability for us to express our grievances subject to whatever information that they give to us. And we've done that in the past. We've had other annexation proposals from other municipalities where we've said you're either taking too much, got to dial it down.
Thank you. Thank you for the explanation there. I know it was a difficult one, but do you believe we'd have more teeth? Because I believe it's David and Goliath here, often.
Yeah, through the acting CEO, I don't know if, we have the teeth that were given to us at the end of the day, right? So it's rather if we're going to use them to bite. So, and we have to listen to what the province is going to say at the end of the day too, because it can be a contested annexation, and we have the ability to go to those public hearings to express our discontent for a particular annexation at the end of the day too.
Yeah, I'm looking for a motion. I'd like one of the RCC members to make the motion. Councillor Kennett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we approve, or I move first reading of bylaw number 1008/2025, City of Red Deer and Red Deer County Intermunicipal Development Plan, and set a joint public hearing date for June 16th, 2025 at 3 p.m. at County Council Chambers at 38106 Range Road 275 in Red Deer County.
Thank you. Okay, any comments? I'll go around, keep going this way. Councillor Ramsey, go ahead.
Just clarity, can we do it all in one motion?
I don't think so, because we're
Okay.
looking at we have a bylaw, and then we actually have resolutions. We can't combine them, so I would like to do them in the order that we see them. Okay. Any other comments? Councillor Moore, Councillor Massier.
Yeah, thanks. So I don't know which one we're talking about now. Are we talking about the
We're talking
bylaw?
about the top one first.
First reading?
We have first reading being moved. Good.
Yeah, and I was here at the last IDP 10, 12 years ago, so I get it. These are important documents, and we're working with the city and an RCC. Everything was good stuff, but Councillor Ramsey brought up a point, and so I guess I don't have to ask a question anymore, so it doesn't matter how I word this. If I offered an amendment to this book, is it time to put the amendment on now and get it to the city before the public hearing? Can I offer an amendment to this book at the public hearing, or do I have to wait for the second reading to be a motion to amend the motion? Because he's got a valid point. CFOs are in that book saying that you can't do certain things around a CFO, or you can't have a CFO, and geez, that's nice. And I don't know who determines whether or not a CFO can come or not, whether it's us or some higher power that's supposed to dictate oil patch and other energy development. But when do you make a stance and put it in your own documents in case someone from a higher power reads our document and say they don't want solar farms near the city of Red Deer in the county? Maybe we'll consider their wishes, because I'm scared if it isn't in the book, well, and they don't care about it, and then someone else is making our decisions for us. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for giving me some guidance on when you'd like an amendment to this document.
Mr. Mr. Dietrich wants to respond on this one.
Yeah, Mayor Wood and Council Massey, Mr. Barr did put forward, the CFOs are there because it's our ability to put them there, whether we have rules or not. So we have them. The CFO is in, I think every one of our IDPs that we have right now. It's in flux right now with what we can and can't put in. And we also have to recognize that we had an ICF committee, that put forward a document. So I would caution putting forward amendment at this time.
And I'm going to respond a little bit here, because remembering that until the city annexes any land, the regulations come within Red Deer County. And if Red Deer County members do not want to see whatever rules what Red Deer County wants to put in our MDP will identify what happens in that area until such time as it's annexed by the city. If the city is concerned about a solar facility coming into their annexed area, then it would be important for them to identify that during this process. What I would suggest, though, Council, is that RCC has given extensive consideration to this document for over 3 years, that if any amendments would be ever made, that they should be made in consultation with the process that we've already had through RCC prior to an amendment being made, that first reading be passed as presented, and that should, following the further consultation with RCC, that if we wanted to make an amendment, that I think it should be considered jointly together with the city prior to doing so. And I think that does give us some opportunity, but I don't believe we would want to make any amendments today. There's opportunity past first reading at any time to make an amendment, but I'm just, first of all, I don't want to see this thing held to the point where we in fact don't get this passed. This has been 3 years in the making, and amendments can always be made at a later date. I'm just a little bit worried of stalling this process. Ms. Rodwell, I know you want to say something over there. Maybe you don't. Mr. Dietrich, okay, I didn't see your light, sir.
That's fine. Ms. Rodwell, it was her idea. She texted me on the way. So.
I do just want to be clear that the municipal development plan and intermunicipal development plan should not be documents that contradict each other. They should be in alignment with each other, or else one of them is going to stand incorrect and then bring into legal question why you would have contradictory direction in both documents. Working with them is extremely complex. Any amendment that Red Deer County makes, the city of Red Deer would be required to make. We both run it through fairly extensive processes through the planners. The bylaw has been reviewed by legal, so every time we make an amendment, we kind of need to go back through that process on these documents, just because it is so intrinsic to both municipalities. So amendments on this one are complicated. It would be easiest if you passed a motion directing administration to research an amendment. That way we could do some of that prep work, do some of that legwork with the city, and come to a joint administrative recommendation that could be put forward to both councils. Because again, as you look at those procedures, you're going to have a joint public hearing, but you're going to do second reading and third reading separately. So if one passes an amendment that the other doesn't pass, then this bylaw is not going to stand. So we do need to be careful as we navigate those. So if you do have issues that you'd like to have consideration on, we just ask that you pass a motion directing for additional information.
Okay, I'm going to continue to go around the table. You have the floor.
Thanks. And I appreciate this information and discussion at this time. And I don't know who this question is to, but what I heard is that our MDP and our IDP should be similar. And I think we just changed our MDP to address the concern that Councillor Ramsey has brought up. So I'm making an assumption about Mr. Ramsey, and I'd like some clarity from all parties with regards to, because we changed our MDP, so is it in line with our IDP, and is that concern of Mr. Ramsey addressed then, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Barr.
So through the acting CEO to Councillor Massey, so the amendment that we made to the municipal development plan went from a shall support to a may support. And it's support. It's not whether or not we would support. It's pretty high level at this point, right? On purpose, because we don't have enough direction to get us into a position where we can actually have a say at the ground level. So I'd still think even with a may statement, we'd still be fine with this. Yeah.
Okay, continuing around the table, Councillor Holzman, Councillor DePalm.
So with continuation of that then, could the city overpower us on our solar if we do change, our own? I guess that was the question I would have after the discussion going.
Mr. Barr.
So as we don't get through the acting CAO to mayor and council, we don't get a formal, there's no formal application at this point. Mm-hmm. When something is proposed, it comes in, whoever the affected parties are within the area gets referred to, and off we go. So the city of Red Deer, we would probably advise them of something that would happen within their IDP area, and we would get comments back from them, and we would share them with AUC like we would our own comments. Because again, it affects them if they end up annexing land within their growth area at some point, because it has long-term implications for them. If you have a big honking chunk of land that's taken out of their ability to develop, then for sure they're going to have something to say about it. So I think right now that's all we have available to us.
Okay.
Until such times as things change.
Until we know if we can put rules in or not, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Thanks so much.
Do you want to close? I'll let you close, but I'm gonna keep going around. Okay, Councillor Ramsey, Councillor Moore.
So thanks for the discussion, because it's got my wheels turning here. What is, I don't want to sound like a record, but what's the risk of not putting in an amendment that speaks to renewals? Because we have our own land use planning document, and until has been stated they annex, that's up to us. So what is the risk or the reward, whichever?
So through the acting CAO to mayor and council, the risk is, in my opinion, if we are putting something in place that is contrary to or acting above and beyond what we are allowed to do, because the province has jurisdiction at the end of the day. So we have to be very careful what we put into these documents. So we're really looking for leadership from them, and then from there, if we have to come back and amend our documents accordingly, great. Totally understand where everybody's coming from, but we're kind of in this limbo land right now, as far as I can see. So I'd be very wary of going down that road. You've seen where jurisdictions have, tried to put in place land use bylaws and all sorts of things. Well, it's irrelevant at the end of the day because they don't have that kind of control. So that's the risk in my mind.
Okay, I'll speak and then Councillor Kennett can close. After hearing all of the comments and further understanding this matter, first thing that I want to say is that this is 3 years in the making. Our administrations have worked together greatly. The RCC committees have worked together greatly. We've had this already out for some consultation with the public prior to this hearing, and I think that we're at the point that the place of actually passing an important document, we need to hear from the public yet, and I think that's extremely important. I am concerned of trying to make a last-minute amendment. I think that I'd hate to see all of the good things that we have here be delayed. This is an extremely important document. I want to say this will be my third time that I've seen an IDP change. I've seen it, and I'll tell you right now, we have a great working relationship with the city, there's been no rush to do this document because we wanted to get it right, and it's came a long way. Not saying that someone isn't going to come up with an amendment later, but But what I would say is that I think it's really important that this is an important document, and to actually see both of our municipalities go into the future, which hasn't came to this point without a lot of thought. And once again, I just want to thank everyone involved. I know I've repeated myself, but I don't know how many times I say this, because this isn't easy to get these things, and a great staff, both sides. Councillor Kennett, you want to go ahead and close, please?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, and I want to echo what you just said. It's been the staff of both the city and the county that have really put in the hard work and effort, and taken our suggestions at RCC, all the different members, and got it to where we are today. And I'm looking very forward to the public hearing, and how that's going to happen in our chambers, since our chambers are a little more spacious than our neighbors across the way. So I'm looking forward to that, and thank you very much.
Okay. All those in favor, first reading? Carried unanimously. Thank you. We have two more motions to deal with. We have established a joint council meeting. Who wants to do that one? Councillor Holzman, go ahead.
Yes,
Councillor Moore will do the last one.
I would move that we establish a joint council meeting for Red Deer County at the City of Red Deer on June 16th, 2025 at 3 p.m. in council chambers, Red Deer County Center, for the purpose of conducting a joint public hearing for bylaw number 1008/2025, City of Red Deer and Red Deer County Intermunicipal Development Plan.
Any discussion? Councillor Master.
In a discussion day, good. I don't even have to ask a question this time. I think it's a great idea to be able to have public hearings together, and I think I've sat through a different one. Maybe it was at Sylvan or some other small town ones that we had multi-councils together for public hearings. Correct me if I'm wrong, administration, but can we use this, what we're doing today, for future ones, or would we have to go through the procedure of the resolution or whatever we're going to vote on? I don't think it's a bylaw. I believe it's a resolution. Or is this approving these public hearing procedures today, allowing us to use them into the future?
Ms. Robwell.
Through the CAO, this is a one-off. So the unique thing here is that you're both being asked to set aside your procedure bylaws, because your procedure bylaws have contradictions to each other. So if you were going to do this process with another municipality, the same sort of situation would arise where you would have two different bylaws involved. This time we've kind of tried to ensure that we've weighed pros and cons of both of the procedure bylaws and made recommendations that reflect both Red Deer County and the City of Red Deer's processes, while being unique and clear to the public about how that meeting is going to be conducted. So we would do the same sort of process with another municipality. We weigh both of the standardized processes and make recommendations from there.
Any other comments? Do you want to close? All those in favor? Carried unanimously. Councillor Moore, you might make the last one.
Thank you, Mayor. I would move that Council approve the joint public hearing procedures as indicated in Schedule C.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Okay, it looks to me like we're out of a meeting. I need someone to, Councillor DePalm.
I will adjourn our council meeting at 11:45.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment? That's carried unanimously. I would imagine, it's lunch here. If lunch,